Hello, rockers and Mercuryans. How are y'all doing today? Y'all, let's do the poll right away. I'm going to get the poll up so everybody can vote. I'm sorry this is a later episode today, but we got to get to the bottom of this situation about Kamala lying about her race. This is some wild stuff, you guys. Is Kamala Harris black? I want to know. Last time I did this, a lot of y'all said no. So I'm gonna do this one more time. Let's check it and see how this goes. All right. Based on what I've been learning and what I've been seeing, I'm gonna say no. But I want to go through this with you guys to really dive deeper into the situation. Now, Candace Owens has spearheaded a lot of this conversation. It's been like a kind of weird topic lately. It hasn't been something that people have felt comfortable talking about. So like, how dare you question her blackness? I'm like, well, we all were okay questioning Rachel Dolezal's blackness, and we ended up being right to want to question her blackness because she literally was a whole white woman cosplaying as a black woman to get black benefits, as if there's not enough white benefits. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So we're going to go deep into the situation. Candace Owens has allowed streamers like myself, content creators, to react to this content that she's posted without flagging us. So W to Candace for this. I'm so thankful because we're going to literally pull together two of her videos on the part where she discusses Candace's her her life, her race. I'm trying to think of how her genealogy, whatever. Like we're gonna be discussing that. So, and I'm gonna be reacting to it as we go through this. Because this is a lot. This is a whole lot, you guys. Let me have my earphones on. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Make sure we can all hear this. Let me go ahead and also make sure that my live is doing okay. I have my backup phone on here. Just double checking everything, seeing if we're all good or not. Yeah, I might need to reset my app real quick. Hold on 1 second. Let me just make sure that we're all good before I continue. All right. Okay, yeah, it shows we're live now. So we should be good. I always have a backup phone just to double check that, see everything's going good. Ooh, I tried to mute my mic. So I tried to mute my mic before I sneezed, but that did not work out in time. All right, let's go ahead and share my stream. Okay, I have two videos up. Which one do I want to go first? I think we're going to start with Kamala's friend confirmed, but this is the one I want to start with. And I can read all your comments, you guys. You guys want to say anything? I'm going to make this bigger as we discuss this situation. It's going to be a lot. We have a lot to discuss right here. So let's go ahead and get into this. Yeah, let's go. I'm going to be stopping it through it, but let's start with the commentary. This is breaking news. Make sure y'all support Candace. We love her here. I support everything she does. Honestly, myself, I already liked and shared this video, and make sure you subscribe and everything. So let's go ahead and jump into this right away and make some commentary about this situation. Make sure you please vote.
Well, I am not quite sure what to say here, other than I humbly submit myself for your consideration to receive a Pulitzer Prize, maybe Time Person of the Year, a Golden Globe, a Grammy, something. I deserve something for my staunch commitment to the defense of Janet Jackson. Because guess what has happened? And by the way, this is not even unbelievable. It's actually the most believable thing in the world. A Jamaican
By the way, you guys, she literally started this search.
woman has stepped
She literally started the search because Janet Jackson was getting attacked for saying that Kamala isn't black, and they made it
forward.
seem as if she was just a Looney Tune for saying that, a conspiracy theorist. So, Candace decided to take it upon her own to research this and figure out why people, don't think she's black and what's the real situation, what's really going on here. Let's keep hearing, let's keep listening. I'll stop it throughout. But,
who I can verify to you knew Kamala's grandma Beryl. And she remembers her affectionately, by the way. Apparently, Grandma Beryl was a wonderful woman. She adored Kamala's Grandma Beryl. It was just one minor detail that was off. You see, the Beryl that she knew, the one that Kamala presented in her book, was not her, because the Beryl she knew was white. Yeah, let's get started. Welcome back to Candace.
Now that is a big deal, you guys. That part right there is a really big deal. The fact that she was black, that was white, when Kamala literally put out.
All right, so all of this was really just
Kamala literally put out a picture with a black grandmother that wasn't even her grandmother. That's a deep situation. Let's keep going.
common sense. I know it's not that common anymore, but it really was common sense from the beginning. And I want people to know, let the record show, let the history books show, that all I did was conduct basic black people science. I looked at this photo here, the photo that Kamala put in her book of her and Grandma Beryl, and I said, no. Scientific consensus rejects this theory for a ton of reasons. One of them being, I just didn't feel like this woman was her grandma. I have a Caribbean grandma. They're all up in your face. I don't feel the affection in this photo. I'm not thinking this is a very dark woman. I'm not thinking this is the mother of Donald Harris at all.
Different.
Like, I know genetics can be funky, but I was going, this woman does not look like she owned and operated a store. There were so many things that were throwing me off. Even the whole story of the grandparents owning all of these stores. I'm going, what are you talking about? 1914 to 1938 in Jamaica, but we were just getting out of slave chains. And you're telling me like your family just became like so dominant and running these dry goods stores, and this grandma had that. Something was off. Okay.
You're so right though.
And what was off was just the photos they were presenting. These people were too black. And then once we started looking into it, the fact that her campaign just shut off the tap on speaking about her blackness. They just wanted to move on.
Yeah,
as if she had never said it. It was the entire brand. Remember, that's the pitch. She's going to be the first black female president of the United States. The media was trying to sell that, to force feed that to us. And I said, Black scientific theory says, no, this ain't your grandma. But I was receiving a ton of emails from people that were insisting that Beryl was Kamala's grandmother. Among the emails were a flurry of people suggesting that I speak to a woman known as Lady Colin Campbell. She also goes as Lady C. I'm familiar with her work. I've seen her. She's written in the Daily Mail before, or has been written about in the Daily Mail. She's a British Jamaican author and a socialite who grew up in Jamaica. And she is deep on genealogy. She's written several books regarding the British royals. This woman likes history. She likes facts. And someone had sent me a clip of her from her YouTube channel during which she was fielding questions, and people were asking her to look into my research into Kamala Harris.
Now, this is deep. So this means that Kamala literally started the situation, started these questions, and has people all over the world, including in Jamaica, who this woman that you're about to see in a second, she literally is bringing in another woman, who lived in the same village as the real Kamala Harris's grandmother, not the one that they just pictured, but the real one. The crazy part about this is, as you'll see in this episode, in the next one, I'm going to show you two different videos kind of spliced together. Like I have two different tabs ready to show you guys. You're going to see that for some reason nobody has a picture of this woman. Like, how bizarre is that this grandmother lived all these years and nobody has a picture? Anybody got a picture of her? Like, that's so bizarre to me. So let's go ahead and keep hearing her out.
And she said, rather offhandedly, that she had asked around and that she had a friend that was on the island who had confirmed to her that Beryl was, in fact, Kamala's grandmother, seemingly putting to rest all of my theories. But I remained completely undeterred and I just ignored it. Lady C said that she was hoping to host that friend on her podcast in the future and that the woman would spill all of the tea on how she knew Kamala's grandmother, Beryl. So I just waited. I waited for the future to arrive, and guess what? The future has arrived.
Wow.
And as promised, Lady C hosted Dorothy, that's the woman's name, Dorothy, the woman who knew Grandma Beryl. And I will tell you, the conversation did not go as Lady C expected. I think primarily because people who did not watch every episode of this series into Kamala were not quite understanding what we were uncovering. There were all of these people making response videos. I was going, you clearly did not watch everything that we're doing. We never said that Beryl did not exist. We always believed that Beryl existed. We simply did not believe that the woman that was presented in Kamala's book was her. We believed that this was a case of stolen identity. Essentially, there was a Beryl, but the woman that was being pictured was not the grandma, and they were playing funny business like commies do, switching identities, and it was.
Do you know how diabolical that is? Do you know how diabolical that is to? Let me not freeze her right here.
Strange.
Sorry, that's a little better. That how diabolical that is to post a picture that's that misleading in your own book. This is not a book that somebody else made. This is a book that she approved. This is not like it'd be different if some other person like made a book about her and it's got it wrong. That's different. That picture to me looks photoshopped, first of all. And to do that is as a president, we should have every right to know what your background is, as the leader of a free world, It's a mess. What's up, Christian? How are you? Hey, Combat says she's yapping. No, she's not yapping. This is Queen Candace. You're going to see some more soon. Hold on.
That even though Kamala presented a picture of Grandma Beryl in the book, she didn't mention her at all in the book. What's up with that? You're just trying to blackify yourself. Lady C likes research. Lady C was good on her word. She hosted Dorothy. So let's watch the first part of their conversation. This is Dorothy, again, the Jamaican woman who grew up and knew Grandma Beryl, Miss Beryl, personally. Take a listen.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Nikki, Aurora, and from me. We have a special guest with us today, Dorothy Otti, who is an old friend of mine. She's Jamaican, and she used to know.
Now, let me just clear this up real quick. When I first saw this, I thought this was an old video because it's like kind of filmed in an older setting. This is video. It has happened because of Candace's research. This woman, Lady C, has reached out to people that she knows, friends that she knows, who have information on this. And you're going to see how genuine this woman is about this information. This woman, you can tell if somebody's lying. I can definitely tell if somebody's lying. I think a lot of us can. But let me know. I want you guys to think as you watch this. Like I couldn't spot a lie or spot any kind of like, manipulation or something. When I see Kamala, I see a lot of that. But with this woman, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I see that she's just sharing stories from her childhood. So listen to her. Now, the black woman next to her is, she's saying that she grew up in the same village as Kamala's grandmother. So she's going to discuss her. That's what we're talking about right now. I know it may be confusing, but that's who she's talking about. So listen to her closely.
Miss Beryl very
There's
well.
no dogs with her.
They grew up in the same village?
Well, I grew up in the village where Miss Beryl lived. She was a lot older than me, of course. And Miss Beryl was the grandmother of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And she was just the most delightful lady. I have such fun memories of her. Excuse me. So there's a sweet that you have in Jamaica as a child, or grown-ups eat the sweet that's made from coconuts and caramelized sugar, and it's called a buster. Have you ever had?
Darling, in my day it was called Bustamante Backbone.
Okay, so it was called a buster. And Miss Beryl had a shop. And
it's a candy.
In the mornings, my Uncle Cecil would take me by the hand. We'd go up the road for a walk. And on the way, everyone that goes past, it would be, "Good morning, Mas Cecil. And how are you, Miss Dar?" And by the time we got to Miss Beryl's shop, she would either offer me a Buster or this other delicious sweet called a Paradise Plum.
Yes, I remember Paradise.
Yeah,
Plums.
but Miss
had a whole
Beryl,
shop.
she was just so lovely.
Combat said, "What in the royal family is this?" Hey, she's living her best life. This woman is a writer. She is a researcher. Like this woman, she creates her content too. So she has her own podcast, and now she's interviewing her. But this is beautiful. Let's keep listening.
We would have these conversations as a little girl whenever I went past with Uncle Cecil, and it was always, how are you doing with your books? Are you reading? Are you learning your times table? Of course, she was a businesswoman, so she was very good at things like mathematics, of course. And she was, looking back now, you could see she was a trailblazer.
Notice that this woman is an older woman that's speaking right now. And so in this time, there's a lot. There's already racism still, but there was a lot of racism back then, like super much so. So this woman's a businesswoman. She's gonna say that Kamala's grandmother was like had the biggest house in the whole village. Like these are all big things to remember in this time. Like this is not adding up. If she was a black woman, like that wouldn't be something that would be common.
Because the shop that she had, she actually built it herself. And so we lived in a village, and her shop was the only what you would call an upstairs, downstairs house. All the other houses were like bungalows on one level with gardens and stuff. I remember in our garden, we had gladiolas.
Only nice house.
Okay, a couple of things flagged to me as interesting there. So she was really good at mathematics. Okay, so we're talking about a black person. Again, this would not have been more than a couple of decades removed from slavery. And she was really good at mathematics, extremely well read, owned and operated a shop, and had the biggest house. I mean, what are we talking about? This doesn't feel like the correct kind of a black story that I'm used to.
Not at all.
A couple of generations ago, you go back, most black people have my grandparents' sharecropping farm. I mean,
yeah, I'm black.
Who knows? I'm like, okay. Very clearly, though, we know she's telling the truth right away because this is a good fact check against what Donald Harris wrote when he wrote a story about their Jamaican heritage for Jamaican Online Global. And he talked about those bustas. He talked about him and his sister Enid and how they loved the bustas. I think he said it was around Easter time. So everything she's saying sounds correct. But it was this next part, that instantly let me know that this woman was the real deal, because she presents a detail, something that I know to be a fact that I had not ever presented to the public. Remember when I told you that I got on the phone with a family member of Kamala Harris? And that family member told me that Donald Harris had two siblings, Enid Harris, who I have spoken to you guys about, and another sibling who I had never mentioned, was Beryl's son, and his name was Kenneth. And this woman starts speaking about the Kenneth that I had never mentioned, who would be Donald Harris's brother. Take a listen.
Now, it's a big deal that she never mentioned this, because this story, people have not been really researching Kamala. They feel like there's like a block before they can, like nobody wants to like go the extra mile. Like Candace really is the only one that has been, spearheading this search for the truth when it comes to Kamala's heritage. And so when you hear more about this man, and even in the next episode I go into, remember this story, because Kamala's dad, Donald, and Kev, and his brother, who we're going to talk about now, are very, very private and have been accused of working with the CIA. We'll talk about that later, or at least high government for the state, basically, which CIA is the state. So that's allegedly, but let's listen to this story. Listen to how this goes. Combat said my great grandparents moved from Italy to Canada. I see. Okay. Gotcha. They moved from Jamaica, but they're not Jamaican. They moved from Jamaica, though. They lived in Jamaica. All right.
Was it a village or was it a hamlet? How many people would have been in it? How many houses? How many residents?
So at one time, everyone that lived there, was a village. There was probably about 80 or 90 people. But at one time, everyone that lived there was a relative of mine.
Really?
Yes.
What about Miss Beryl?
So this would have been before people such as Miss Beryl moved there. But before that, everyone who lived there, and even as a child growing up, most of the residents were connected in some way on my mother's father's side. My grandfather.
That's a deep statement right there. Let's be real. So she's saying that before people like Miss Beryl moving there in that area, it was all her people. Like basically, like almost like that Miss Beryl came in to gentrify the area. Like she was the only different one, had a way bigger house than everybody. Like this is not that it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying like this is a small village. So she knows very well this is her childhood. They didn't have TV and all these other things back then. I mean, not they might have TV, but not like it was. We weren't obsessed with social media like we are now. Yeah, these are her memories. Like memories are much more solid back then. It wasn't as like where our brains are all over the place with different feeds and different random songs and stuff and shows that we forget all that. We didn't have a whole bunch of mental jargon to decipher through. Like this was her childhood and she remembers it very well and she has fond memories. And I want you guys to listen to her more. Let's keep going.
Father's side, where they were all related. But Miss Beryl, my darling, also had a son. He was called Kenneth, and Kenneth had a motorbike, the equivalent of what we would now call a Harley Davidson. And of course, so at the time I would have been no more than 4 or 5. I'm not interested in what make your bike is. And he would put me on the front of the bike, whenever I came past with Uncle Cecil, and I would sit there and he would switch the engine on. And of course, looking back now, I realize the bike never moved, but he just held on to me. And I thought I was riding a bike, and I grew up absolutely loving motorbikes. He was very handsome.
Oh, Beryl must have had some money. Her son has the equivalent of a Harley Davidson. He was very handsome. He's got riding around on his motorbike. What are we talking about here? Like I said, this is when I knew that this woman was dialed in because I had never spoken about Kenneth publicly, not for any particular reason. I just literally hadn't gotten around to it as I've been collecting all of this evidence to present to the public on Kamala's family and looking into Enid and looking into Kenneth. So very interesting. Again, sounds like this Beryl had a lot of money. It's just not giving the person that is pictured in Kamala's book.
Not at all.
Now, of course, naturally,
all.
Kamala Harris then comes up in this conversation. And Dorothy keeps this same positive energy. She's very positive, right? She has a spirit about her. She has this fond memory. Delightful. She's delightful in her approach about Beryl. And she's delightful in her approach about Kamala. And Kamala's features. She really likes Kamala's facial features. I'll tell you why. Take a listen.
And Miss Beryl, by the way, I see Vice President Harris on the box. I sit up straight and I think, my God, she looks so much like Miss Beryl. Her facial features. The only thing is Miss Beryl was much smaller in stature, but
well, okay, Miss Beryl, because Kamala is very fair-skinned.
Right.
Was Beryl fair-skinned?
Yes, she was.
She was?
Wow.
She was. She was fair-skinned.
She was?
She was fair-skinned.
Yes, she was very fair-skinned.
Very
with
fair-skinned.
Black hair.
Really?
Yes.
Very.
So she was so fair-skinned that now that I'm older and I can spot people by their skin coloring, etc., for me, I would say there was something Irish there.
How interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say somewhere along the line, she would have had ancestors that were Irish.
Wow.
Yes.
Actually, can I show you a photograph?
Of course.
Of an old lady.
Yes.
And some people speculate that this is...
The other woman doesn't look anything Irish.
Miss Beryl.
Right.
So... Sorry,
That's okay.
I am so on technological.
She's finding a photo to
just
show
pathetic.
to her. That's in. This photo is in Kamala's actual book. Okay, this is in her actual book.
Okay. Nah,
Published.
that's not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss
That's
Beryl.
definitely not Miss Beryl.
Oh,
She's laughing.
not
That
Miss
is
Beryl.
not Miss Beryl.
So,
And-
that means you have to just show.
Yeah.
So
That is not Miss Beryl.
that's
No,
not Miss Beryl.
definitely not Miss
Wow.
Beryl.
Okay.
And I know what she looks like. I couldn't have been in a dream, and she definitely did not look like that.
There's another person, but could that be Miss Beryl?
No, that's not
That's
Miss
not Miss
Beryl.
Beryl
That's not
either.
Miss Beryl either.
Okay.
Don't know
Wow.
who that is.
Okay.
Don't know who that is. Dang. So clearly does not know who that is.
That's not Miss Beryl. That ain't Miss Beryl. You know, as you were describing the fair skin and looking like Kamala, I was thinking this can't be the Miss Beryl grandma that's in Kamala's book.
Cannot be.
And clearly you see Lady C
Absolutely
is going, wait, fair skin? What maybe is this? Nope, that's not Miss Beryl. I didn't dream. That's not Miss Beryl. Yeah, that sounds about right. You're saying Irish. And that's funny because Judge Joe Brown had a very distinct memory that Donald Harris told him that he was Irish and Hindu. And things are
Wow.
starting to add up, not in Kamala Harris's favor. And I don't know what to say here, ladies and gentlemen, other than I am truly, untypically speechless. I don't think I possess within me the adequate vocabulary to discuss my distaste for a woman who borrowed a Black person for her
Unhinged.
autobiography so that she could secure the Black vote. Do you
Unhinged.
understand how fundamentally racist that is?
That's disturbing.
Do you understand
Like,
how despicable that is? I mean, you have to be the worst kind of political vermin to borrow a Black person to put in your book to present to the public as your grandma,
that's dark.
who definitively
CIA
was
stuff.
not your white Irish grandma. Okay, I don't have the word. I need someone to throw me a thesaurus so I can find it. I need to expand my vocabulary to be able to legitimately express my disgust for Kamala Harris and my now general disgust for any person who supports this woman or from here on out purports that she is the first Black anything. Okay?
Honestly, how dare
is
she?
Beyond despicable. This woman has no soul. You have to have no soul to do that. And if my instincts are correct, the person that she is showing is indeed someone she knows and is likely, like I said from the very beginning, the help.
Yep.
The help who would have taken on the name of the people who they worked for. It's very common. This is why you talk about having
That's what I
slave
believe
names.
too,
You
honestly.
take on the last name, the first name. When we saw that woman who was listed looking for a housekeeper position that said Beryl or Christie, it is my suspicion that this was the help, meaning this was likely the woman that was working for the wealthy Miss Beryl who was buying her children Harley Davidsons. I mean, it's just, this is unbelievable. This should end
that is deep,
her
actually.
chances at the White House. If we have any sort of moral sensibility in this country, you would never allow a person like this to assume office, because if she is willing to lie like this, if she is willing to, this is essentially the worst kind of blackface. Okay. This is what you are seeing now. Kamala Harris is in fact a minstrel show. She said, I'm running for president. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm just going to blackify myself. Fake aunties, fake uncle photos.
That's
I actually
dark.
just called them. And what is she going to say to this? Is she going to come out now and say, oh, when I said Grandma Beryl, I meant like that's just what we called her affectionately, Grandma Beryl, as she was doing our laundry.
And she's been avoiding this so much. Kamala has refused to discuss this and just trying to like deflect the same way she deflects when she's on these different interviews and they're asking her, you know, if you know so much about being president, why didn't you do anything while you're in office now, you know? And she always just deflects like, oh, well, Donald Trump is running. We have to defeat Donald Trump. We got to defeat him. She never wants to like speak about what's really going on. She never wants to speak about the reality of that she is just a pawn, a talking head. It's very disturbing, to be honest. Like, and if she really did lie about this working class grandmother that she's saying she had when like buying motorcycles, owning the biggest house in the neighborhood at this time in the most racist era of the world. It's still racist now, but it was even worse back then. She's just straight out lying, and not only that, if you watch past episodes of Candace's show, it shows that who her family was involved in a lot of racist activities themselves. Kamala's allegedly, where they, were trying to attack the Rastafarians and supported the Rastafarians being round up and having their dreads cut off and being murked. It's very disturbing. Let's keep on listening.
And picking up after us, we called her. What is she going to say that is possibly going to be accepted? And will the press do their job now? Stop pretending this is a conspiracy and recognize that this woman put on blackface because she wants to win the election. Megan Thee Stallion, I'm calling you, every person who twerked, danced, applauded, said to the public, this is a Black woman. It is now incumbent upon you to take a step back, examine what we have revealed, and to take it back. Take everything you said back about this woman. Apologize for platforming her, for believing this. It's fine. I'll accept the apology, but keep the exact same energy. Oh, she's Black? Okay. Now that you know that she's not, you should be angry, and you should present these facts to the public and to your followers and to your fan base. Like I said, I am shocked. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not surprised. It was inevitable. I was never going to let go. Like, I pretty much knew that I was on the right track. Her silence about the matter was deafening. The removal of everything seemed very suspicious. No longer speaking about her Blackness seemed very suspicious. Now she's too highbrow. I'm not even going to address. You know why you're not going to address it? Because you're not Black. You are not Black. You never have been Black a day in your life.
That's so disturbing.
You truly disgust me. I want you to know that you are filth. Kamala Harris is filth.
I believe that.
Lady C was similarly shocked, gobsmacked, as she put it. Take a listen.
And gobsmacked.
I love her. Gobsmacked. I love her.
And it then begs the question, gobsmacked. Did she seriously think she was going to be able to get away with this?
She did.
Really, I know Candace Owens has been going hell for leather on this. And Candace Owens is clearly Black. So this is not about anti-Blackness. Because, as you could see, Dorothy is not white.
That's right. This is a Black woman saying the truth.
I'm just stunned that any ambitious politician would present as a grandparent of hers, and Kamala Harris is very fair-skinned. Whether she calls herself Black or brown, she's still fair-skinned. But she definitely has Black blood. So to that extent, it's not anything artificial. What does seem to be extraordinary is the creation of a Black
That's the part.
mother.
She be roasting Donald Trump on that election. No, she don't.
Grandmother was of color, but wasn't Black.
Wow.
And she just did she get somebody off the street and pop them in the photograph?
Ooh.
Was it a helper? Who was this woman?
Who the F was this woman?
The imagination.
It really does.
Don't you worry. Leave it with me,
That's
lady.
Deep. You're saying that she's roasting. Mal says she's roasting Donald and the Trump. She doesn't. She's not. She has the most basic type of responses to Donald. Like, she's just a talking head. She reads the teleprompter and she just bobbles her head and laughs. Like, she really does not address the things that matter. And it's crazy because Donald got called racist for asking for Barack Obama's birth certificate, when even in his own college's paper they wrote about him, they said he was born in Kenya. And so why was that racist for him to mention that when it's something that most likely is true? And then he made some BS fake Hawaiian birth certificate, all the stuff it's just so much craziness. Like they try to make it seem crazy for asking questions, but then they can never answer it properly. And how long did it take us to get that birth certificate? That fake birth certificate. Most people think it's fake. I believe it was fake personally. That really, God, I didn't know that. Yeah, there's a lot to this, you guys. There's a lot. Yeah, let's keep going.
DC, from one lady C to another, I'm going to get to the bottom of who that woman is in the picture, and I'm going to get to the bottom of who the Irish barrel actually is, because here's what happens now. Blood is in the water, my friends, okay? If you watch the full interview, you should cut over to Lady C's YouTube channel and watch the entire thing.
Yeah,
that woman gave a ton of accidental clues about the Irish barrel that we are now looking for. She excelled at mathematics. She built a home. She resembles Kamala Harris. She had black hair. She owned a store which specialized in making bustas. Now we can refocus our attention and look for the true barrel, the white-looking barrel. And we are going to be able to find that person. I sense it. Now, like I said, there is way too much information out there. And we need to put tremendous amounts of pressure for Kamala Harris to respond. Because like I said, you have to be borderline psychopathic to do what she did. Do you understand? Like,
this is true.
Just take a pause here and recognize how demented you have to be, okay?
This picture.
To approve the printing of a book with a photo, featuring a photo of who you purport is your grandma barrel. You standing next to a woman who was likely cleaning your dirty underwear, okay?
Wow.
Likely. That's what I think. I feel it in my soul that that's who these women were that were pictured in here. This woman doesn't recognize Iris. Grandma Iris was the second photo she showed. We zoomed in on it. She doesn't recognize anyone. Dorothy's going, I don't know who these people are. Okay. You have to be utterly demented, hell-bent on power. You will stop at nothing to achieve power if you have no shame. If you have no shame, knowing that you come from a long line of slave owners, that you would then appropriate the identity of a real Black woman so that you can what? Re-enslave Black people in America today. Ooh. That's exactly why she's doing it. She is disturbed, okay? Like I said, this is now a beginning. We get to refocus our attentions. I have a ton of suspicions. I truly believe that I was on the right track when I examined the same thing for Christiana Brown. I believe they're lying about who Christiana Brown is. And I'm going to find both of these women. What do we have, 18, 19 days until the election? Dang. I'm not letting go, guys.
So close.
Just email me if you find any information, info@CandaceOwens.com. You know where we will be. This woman is not going to get away with this. I'm disgusted. All right, guys, also reminding you about preborn, because Kamala Harris is the first vice presidential candidate to ever visit an abortion facility. And Tim Walz supported a bill in his home state which legalized the denial of life-saving medical care to infants born alive.
Support this company, guys. I'm going to let this ad play because
the media has dubbed this the abortion election.
Like, I don't get paid.
We have to take a stance against this evil. When you join forces with Preborn, the largest pro-life organization in the nation.
Please support this one. Please support that company. I don't want to go too far because I don't want this to be a paid ad video. I just thought about it, but I definitely would think it's amazing to support that cause. To, we don't need. I don't support abortion personally. I'm very much pro-life, 100% pro-life. I don't care what the reason is, and I just think it's amazing to support that company. So now we're going to go into another video the next day after this, where she discusses a little bit more, you guys. So we're going to get to that. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me read the poll so far. So far, we have 60% of people saying no, Kamala Harris is not Black. Whoa. Wow. Just wow. That's all I got to say to that. Wow. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into this next part of this episode. The next part in this series, where this is the next day. This is who's Kamala's real grandmother. We're gonna be discussing that. Okay, we're gonna react to that. So this is the next day. She get more tips in after that video. Also, I think she may discuss. I don't know. I don't want to make this video about that, but I think she's on the trail of discovering if Michelle Obama was born, Michael. You know, I personally believe she was. That's a whole different story. We won't go there because you'd be like, oh, conspiracy. Like, we'll wait till she gets, her researching on. Because one thing about Candace is she'll get to the bottom of it. I just hope and pray that she remains safe because her voice is so strong. I am nervous for her, how strong she is. I know she does not live in fear, and that her God is bigger than any of her enemies, as she says. But I do worry for her because I'm obviously a huge supporter. I got my Candace cup. I have a lot of merchandise and shirts and stuff. I really support Candace. Um, I think she's amazing. Um, but yeah, I just really want her to be, just have a lot of security because people are wild. So let's go ahead and get into this next video. Hold on, let me go ahead and open this up. Share my screen. This part, okay. Here we go. So this one, the next day, let's get into this.
The week. Back in 2020, Black people were really asking for the world, and I was not with it. You guys know that I was staunchly against it. BLM was making all sorts of crazy demands. It was just a mess. But now fast forward and it's 2024 and Black people really came into this election with just a different energy, not asking really for much or really anything. We simply asked that the Jackson family be left alone and that people be a little bit more considerate than to wash their greens where they wash their asses. And Kamala, for whatever reason, could not abide us. She just could not abide us.
By the way, she plays a video of Kamala saying that she had to cook so many greens for people. She's such a good at cooking greens that she had to cook them all in the bathtub. And I remember growing up, I'm like, I've never heard of people washing the greens in the bathtub. That just sounds disgusting, to be honest. I mean, bathtubs can be really gross. But like, she literally said this, and it's kind of just like her trying to make herself as Black as she can be. And it's like, girl, if you don't stop, like, are you serious? Greens in the bathtub is diabolical. I can't handle it. It's so nasty. What's up, FX? How are you? But basically, that's why she's referencing that. And let's keep going.
And that is exactly how we got here. I want to remind you of that. Also, my brain is melting right now because I don't know if I'm the last person on earth to know this, and this was like big news or somehow I missed it. But were you guys aware that Barack Obama's nanny from when he was in Indonesia, in school in Indonesia with his stepdaddy, was transgendered? Because I just learned that and I'm just going, what on earth is happening? There is way too much synergy here between Emmanuel Macron's upbringing, what we've learned about Emmanuel Macron, Barack Obama's upbringing, and now Kamala's upbringing. It's making me a little uncomfortable. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Candace.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. I do believe that Michelle Obama was not born, as she said she was born. FX says, good, how are you? I'm doing well, FX. I'm just doing the show.
All right, so yesterday was absolutely an insane day. We are being inundated. I mean, practically inundated with emails, tidbits, tips, some of them leading to nowhere, some of them leading to some things that we are extremely curious about. And that is why I'm so grateful that we are coming upon the weekend where we get to look into everything thoroughly and come back on Monday with things better fleshed out. Again, we don't want to make any mistakes. Today is Friday, so I want to spend time getting everyone focused on what these next steps are of our investigation, because I might be leading the investigation, but this has only been possible because everyone out there is participating. I mean, all around the world, we are getting tips. People that went to school with Barack Obama telling us things and saying, I don't want my name to be mentioned here, but just so you know, in his college yearbook, or I guess he said like in the college database, his name was Barry Soetoro, and then they changed it. But people that have spoken out about that have mysteriously gone missing. I mean, we are just learning a lot.
Missing is crazy.
And of course, there is the very real fact that I am in contact with members of Kamala's own family. You've noticed I have not shared their names. There's a reason for that. They are asking for some level of protection. She's got a lot of family members, a lot of white family members that just did not make her book, her treasure trove of BS. Someone asked me to succinctly put together everything that we have discovered thus far, because there are many people who are now realizing, no, this is not BS. This is not a conspiracy. Kamala has lied about her upbringing, has lied about her own genealogy, and many people have not been on this entire journey with us. And so I'm just going to sum it up for you very simply, okay? Kamala is completely lying about her heritage. She pulled the good old Barack Obama, dropped a book, an autobiography that was meant to legitimize her to the Black public. And for whatever reason, in the public's mind, when somebody drops a book and calls it an autobiography, they just assume that somebody along the way did the due diligence, and therefore it must all be true because they found it in the nonfiction segment of the bookstore, a section of the bookstore. And that's just not true. That leaves a lot of room for politicians to lie. And that's exactly what Kamala did. And you can really see when you go through this book that it is just political blackface. She fails to mention that she is majority white. She fails to mention her white family members, her many white family members. And she neglects to mention them entirely, by the way, while going through great pains to instead offer alternative Black relatives. Now, what am I talking about when I say alternative Black relatives? I mean, they are not her relatives, but she refers to them as uncles and aunts. I mean, as just one example, Uncle Freddie mentioned in 2 pictures. One picture here, visiting my Uncle Freddie in Harlem. Harlem, haha, get it, Black people, haha. I like Harlem. I like fried chicken. I like black-eyed peas. Yeah, and it turns out that guy in the background isn't even her Uncle Freddie. Harlem was always a magical place for me. Okay, cool. Then she mentions Uncle Freddie again. Here is her book. I'm blessed with an amazing family. Like, anybody reading that objectively would assume this was her family. I'm blessed with an amazing family. I'll never be able to thank Auntie Chris, Uncle Freddie, and Aunt Mary enough for their constant encouragement and support. They always showed up for me, as they did here at a campaign event for my DA's race that we held at the San Francisco Jazz Club. Jazz Club, get it? Haha, Black people, you like jazz. There we are with my auntie and my uncles and my family. And she later in the book, there's like a little paragraph where she explains that actually Uncle Freddie and Aunt Mary are not her real uncles and are her real uncle and aunt at all, but they were just like family. But she doesn't say anything about that Aunt Chris she mentioned. She just says that Aunt Chris was the reason that she went to Howard. We don't know if it's a real aunt. Well, that we know for sure it's not a real aunt because all of these people are Black. The point was just to make people just believe that she had this extraordinarily Black experience. Even when she shows photos of her fully Indian grandparents, right, her mother's parents, she sort of gives it this little Black spin, like this photo of her maternal grandfather in Africa. Of course, here it is. Grandpa and me when we visited him and my grandmother in Lusaka, Zambia, right? So again, yes, this man traveled. Yes, he was on diplomatic missions. Why did you decide to pick this photo in Africa?
Yeah, why?
Because it's sending a signal. She's trying to Blackify herself by every means, any means available to her. And she really has, by the way, kept up this charade since the book. In fact, yesterday, before our episode dropped, she made a poor decision to tweet this. She tweeted, "Growing up, our mother worked long hours. So my sister Maya and I would stay with our neighbor, Mrs. Shelton. She helped my mother take care of us, and we used to call her our second mother." So she has a Black second mother. She's got a fake Uncle Freddie. She's got a fake Aunt Mary. She's got a fake Auntie Chris. It's just unbelievable. Outrageous. It's just really unbelievable. And all of these real white aunties and uncles were completely ignored. They just didn't make it. And we now know that she had real relationships with these people. So it's quite stunning. It is a lie by omission. Okay, it's a lie by omission when you're going around doing the rounds pretending to be Black. The intended message was very clear of the book. It's, I am Black. I'm a Negro. Accept me, everyone. See, I'm just like you guys. They ain't like us, she said. They ain't like us. The BET Wars. Girl, they ain't like us. No, Kamala, you ain't like us, okay?
What's up,
you ain't
Con?
even
How
kind of like us. In fact, you essentially spit in our faces when you do this. It is.
We're watching Candace discuss how Coca-Cola, is he here still? He's saying a lot. Coca-Cola saying some wild stuff in there. Well, I don't know if he's still here, but are they still there? But basically, we're watching Candace Owens discuss how Kamala has been allegedly lying about her heritage, like straight out lying, and she's untangling this web of lies. And if she's gonna lie about her heritage, imagine what she'd do in the White House. Now, make sure you please like the live. Please like the live. I really appreciate it. It really helps me a lot when you guys like and comment and stuff. So thank you so much. But yeah, and shout out to Candace Owens. Please follow her and subscribe and support her in every way you can. She's not even monetized on YouTube anymore because of her spreading the truth. They're trying to shut her down. So please support her in every way you can. We love Candace Owens here. All right, go ahead.
A minstrel show. Kamala's campaign is a minstrel show. If you are Black and you are still voting for her, you should be ashamed of yourself. You have absolutely no dignity to allow this to happen, to have her get caught, and to basically turn the other cheek and go, oh, well, at least she's not Trump. Well, at least Trump is who Trump says he actually is. But of course, it was this photo that immediately caught our attention. It was the notorious photo of Grandma Beryl. Now, I want to be clear. When this photo caught my attention, I just didn't think it was her grandma because I didn't like the emotional vibes here. It's just not how Caribbean grandmas act. I know I have one or had one. She passed away in 2013. But what is interesting is that so many people had emailed us right away, and these people are obviously, I'm not a techie. They were familiar with Photoshop. A lot of editors saying, Candace, these photos are Photoshopped. You can tell because in each photo of her grandparents, this one and of Iris Finnegan, they don't show the hands. And apparently there is something to do with hands that you can tell that they're just photoshopping two pictures together. So the operating belief from the army of editors that have emailed us is that actually they took a real photo of Kamala and a real photo of this Black woman, and they just merged them together. And that's why you're not seeing any emotion or interaction between the two. Like, I don't know, I just feel like your grandma would put your arm around her or something. But again, that's a theory. We didn't even report on it until just now because obviously yesterday we dropped the mother of all bombs, a woman named Dorothy who grew up on the island in the presence of the lovely Miss Beryl, who she loved dearly. Dorothy really loved Miss Beryl and was so kind about it, confirmed that the photo was fraudulent. And since we dropped that episode yesterday, it's been crazy. The reason why we're running a little bit late with today's episode is because we've had more phone calls with Kamala's family members. And they have confirmed to us beyond a shadow of a doubt that the person that is pictured in Kamala's book is not the real Miss Beryl. Kamala cannot sue me for that statement. She cannot sue me for defamation. That is not the real Miss Beryl. That is not her grandma Beryl that is in that photo, okay? In fact, this family member tells me that not only is the real Miss Beryl light-skinned, like Kamala, but also that Miss Beryl had a sister, okay, that was even whiter than her, even lighter than her. Now, my understanding is that Miss Beryl looked to be mixed Indian and Irish. So they would say brown, call Indians brown and Irish. So that's why when Dorothy recounts this, she's like, Kamala looks so much like her. Apparently she was a little lighter than Kamala, but you would look at Kamala and you might go, okay, that complexion, you would definitely say, could identify that as someone with an Indian complexion, no doubt. And this is, by the way, how we now know definitively that Dorothy is on the money. We are in communication one step closer to getting in touch with Dorothy. We're trying to get her on the show because she also confirmed that Miss Beryl did indeed have another sister that she remembered. Take a listen.
Miss Beryl was a brown-skinned woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
That says it all.
In fact, I remember her sister.
Uh-huh.
I also remember her sister. But yes, I remember, as I say, I have, you look back on things in your childhood, and Miss Beryl, I have very fond memories of going back from I was a child. Lovely, a lovely, kind woman that lived in this house with her son.
Wow.
And the son that she is referring to is Kenneth. We're going to talk more about him because this piece is actually really important for those of you who have joined our CIA investigation, our army of people who are looking into this. But Dorothy also confirmed, remember, we were between two death certificates, one that was in 95 and one that was in 1960. Well, she confirmed that Beryl was indeed alive in the 90s and that she passed a short time before Dorothy's husband, who I believe she said her husband passed in 2000 or 2002. Take a listen.
So was Miss Beryl alive in 2000?
So she was alive in the 90s.
In the 90s.
Which was when I Tim and I were together. So she was definitely alive in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yes.
That's really intriguing, Dorothy. What a pity you don't have a photograph.
I know, but I am still sort of making inquiries to see if anybody, has a photograph of her.
Someone has a photograph of her. That person is likely Kamala Harris. we're just not going to get it, obviously. And they're probably now freaking out and trying to figure out who else is speaking that would have been familiar with Miss Beryl. As I said, we are one step closer to getting in touch with Dorothy because we have withheld information from the public that she clearly knows. So I know that Dorothy is the real deal. She knew Kenneth Harris. The reason I have kept sort of this enigma of Kenneth Harris is because it's been very difficult for us to find information on him. So now I'm going to open this up to the public, okay?
Oh, wow.
Kenneth Harris is Donald Harris's full brother. So Kenneth Harris and Donald Harris have the same mother and they have the same father. He is Kamala's full uncle. And the reason why he is a person of tremendous interest to me is because, like Donald, there seems to be very little public information available about him. Now, I have told you that the family members that we are speaking to say that Donald was exceedingly private and Kenneth was exceedingly private as well. They were a bit mysterious. They have also confirmed to me that Donald was a full-fledged communist who attended frequent Marxist meetings and basically gave no information about himself ever. Okay, which is why it's of note that Dorothy says she didn't know Donald, but she definitely remembers Kenneth Harris. Take a listen.
I don't know her other son, who is Kamala's father. I know of him, but I have never met him. But of course, her other son, Uncle Kenneth, I have really loving, fun memories of him.
He lived in the village.
Yes, he lived with his mother.
And what became of him? Do you know?
He, as far as I know, he lives in America. Yes.
And
moved to America.
Kamala's father.
Yes.
You didn't know.
I never met him.
It's really funny that in Kamala's book, she speaks about how she was visiting her Uncle Freddie in Harlem, because what I actually know, based on my research and what people are telling me, I can tell you this for a fact, is that Kenneth did indeed go to America. He went to New York. And then he virtually disappeared. So while she was at Harlem, she could have visited maybe her real uncle, Kenneth Harris, that she hasn't mentioned at all. But yes, I am now telling the public what we know about him. His name would be Kenneth Harris Sr., by the way. He has 3 children, and his son's name is Kenneth Harris Jr. My understanding is that after he went to America, after being quite private, he virtually disappeared. We also know about Kenneth Harris is that while he lived in Jamaica, he was a police officer. So we are trying to crawl through the database and see if we can find any information on him. Quite interestingly, every single family member that we've tried to look things up on, we've been able to find, except for Kenneth and Donald Harris. That is just remarkable to me. Every indication that I have leads me to believe that these two were working for the government. And I'm not talking about like just working for the government, like the fireman or the post office man. I'm talking about working for the state.
Yeah, do y'all understand?
In a very big way. And
do y'all understand how hard it is to keep yourself private and not have any records, especially if you're coming from a different country? There's just so many records when it comes to immigration and things like that. You legally have to have records. And so this is not a normal thing. Like, there's a reason why we even have history, because people, countries have been so serious about keeping records, especially with a family like hers. This woman didn't just come out of nowhere. This woman didn't just come out of nowhere. It's super important to remember that. So let's go ahead and keep listening.
Were required to be silent and mysterious about their lives. Again, Kenneth Harris moved to New York and then virtually disappeared and lost contact with everything, also exceedingly private. And I should be able to find his naturalization papers. I should be able to find way more about him, considering he moved to America and lives in America. And I keep coming up dry. So I am asking everyone who has been on this journey to get on this and just be conscious, by the way, that there are a lot of, obviously Kenneth Harris is a very common sounding name. There are tons of common, you could find a million of them. Try to make sure if you're sending me stuff that you're certain that this somehow relates to Jamaica, because that's where we know that he lived and that he had kids and that he was also married. And somehow there's no record of any of that I can find at this point, but we have the weekend ahead of us. I'd also like to, before the weekend, point out again to you a woman that I deem to be of interest. Now, we have nothing concrete about this woman. I'm simply bringing her to the public's attention again. Just a bit of a gut instinct. This photo, of Lady Idris Allen. Her name was Idris Trotman. She married the finance.
Now, let's pause on this. Let's be so for real right now. Let's be so for real. This may not even be the woman, but this woman looks so much more like Kamala than the other woman that she pictured in her book. This looks like Kamala if she was older. If you said this was her old like that, she looks so much like Kamala. Um, it's. Hmm. I really hope that there's more information on this woman. I really think that the next update we get on Monday is going to be that this woman is the grandmother or something. Like this woman looks like her in the eyes. Then no, like then there's something about her. Like I feel, and she may be wrong, but this stuff definitely.
Finance Minister
Yeah.
Bustamante. Like Beryl, this woman died in 1995 in Jamaica. She was exceedingly devoted to politics, and she ran a dry goods store and was a supporter, like I said, of Bustamante. The reason why she's been a person of interest to me is that she just kind of fits the bill of everything that Donald Harris speaks about in his Jamaican Online Global piece about his heritage, the dry goods store. It's almost like he's merged different people. And I also think that that woman looks like a light-skinned woman that could be mixed. And so I just am deeming her a person of interest, trying to learn more about her. I just think the more public we are with this research, the more we will be able to discern what is right and what is wrong. She may have no relation whatsoever. But just when I think of this woman saying she looked like Kamala, I see the skin complexion, I see black hair, and I find her to be interesting. I should also, by the way, include for you guys here, but Donald
really
has since been remarried, and his wife works for the World Bank. He is just a very, very mysterious, shady dude. It leads me to believe that Japanese American journalist, Yoichi Shimatsu, may have been telling the truth. And I have some news. We have
Really
been
good
able
news.
to establish communication with Yoichi Shimatsu, and he is a willing participant. So we are going to have, by the way, a ton of surprises next week.
Now that is exciting news. If you watch your past episodes, which I should have probably covered that, but this man said that he knew his Kamala's mother and father, I believe, very well, or at least the mother for sure, because he believed that the mother of Kamala Harris was a part um, of the a program that she's going to talk about right here, but the MK Ultra program, which is very real. It's not a conspiracy theory, but he believes that she was part of it. So this is going to be a huge conversation. I hope that he is, um, going to be safe and not get murked. Whew. Trying to expose the truth. They can't hope they don't murk him because this is very serious stuff we're talking about.
Trying to set up an interview with Yoichi, also somebody else that I'm going to wait and surprise you with next week that you guys are going to be thrilled about, people that have real memories and real knowledge of this very mysterious family. And so we're not going to let up, guys. If you have information, especially if you are in Jamaica, please share this around. Somebody remembers something. We have to be able to find something about Beryl. Was she using a different name? Who was her sister? You can't just own a store and just completely have no record of your time there. And like I said, it sounds like they had a little bit of wealth. And the only people that could clean up someone's background like this would be a 3-lettered government agency. And so, yeah, we are going to have to be quicker than them. And that seems almost impossible. But I think with the entire world now watching and paying attention, it maybe is possible. And with the entire world now looking at Yoichi Shimatsu's piece, his belief, he is certain that Kamala's mom was involved in the MK Ultra program, and that is about psychological brainwashing people. Might be something that could lead to a Manchurian type candidate. I am thinking that everything that he is expressing, particularly about Kamala, her past marriage, probably has a lot of merit to it, but we are going to find out, guys. So, of course, stay tuned. All right, I want to throw it to preborn because the media has dubbed this the abortion election. We have to stand up to this evil. When you join forces with preborn, the largest.
Well, we're going to stop it right there. You guys. So far for our votes, we have 57 of people say no, Kamala is not black. Wow. All right. That's whew. People are starting to wake up to the reality that this woman is possibly race baiting us, which is so disturbing to do as a president of the United States. That's just like mind boggling. Um, and by the way, please support the preborn company that she was talking about at the end. It's such a great company. Again, just one more time, I wanted to say that you guys a great is it even a company? I think it's a charity or like they support babies' lives. So just please think about it. Sorry, my eye is a little itchy right now. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention, especially right before the election time, for us to just be aware of who we are supporting right now. The people we're supporting, the people we're backing. It's just super important to be honest about um, like who these people are, who these people really are. They're not really here for us. If they're lying, if they're going to lie about this, imagine what else somebody like Kamala would lie about. Very scary stuff, you guys. I don't take any of this lightly. Make sure you guys are doing all your research before you make your decisions in the voting, or even I don't even believe that. I don't even know if voting really matters as much, but as long as we're awake to what these lies are, that's what counts the most. Whether they put her in office or not, like we need to know about the lies of this person, of the people who we trust to lead us. It's super important to know about the people who we trust to lead us, you guys. I'm about to go to sleep. I personally would vote. No, I don't think that Kamala's black. I think that she is a Manchurian candidate. I think she's a liar. I think she's manipulative. I think she's a talking head. I do not trust her. I never did trust her. Combat said she's not black. She's not real. She's a O and O. Okay, and H is O. I do have to agree with that. I can't lie. I have to agree with that personally. Um, yeah, I gotta agree with that. But yeah, you guys, so I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm so exhausted. But thank you so much to Candace Owens for waking us up to this. I mean, I would have never looked into this deeper if it wasn't for Candace. And a lot of people are following along, and this one video from I think yesterday already has 603,000 views on YouTube alone, and she has it on multiple different platforms. So I'm sure it has over 1 million views by now. So W to Candace. I'm so grateful for her bravery because this is a brave thing. Like she could be murked at any time. Her family's at risk. Her kids are at risk. Her everybody is at risk by her doing this. So I think she's so brave, and I'm so grateful for her. And I hope that like I don't know if you guys are praying people. Make sure you guys pray for her safety, for her family. Like this is nothing to be taken lightly. Like she really is risking everything to share the truth with us, and I really respect her for that. And that's why I'm bringing her onto my platform here to just share the word of this possible real lie. And I think she does deserve a Pulitzer Prize or whatever the heck these awards are. She deserves it, but will she get it? Probably not, because all that stuff is rigged. I hope she does though, because she deserves it so much. So yeah, I just am so thankful for you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and comment. Let me know what you guys think. And if you didn't have a chance to vote in the actual video because you weren't here, if you can please put in the comment section what you believe about the situation, and I would really appreciate that. That would be amazing. So thank you so much, you guys. Rock on, Mercury. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm so exhausted, but have a blessed, beautiful night, you guys. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Rock on, Mercuryans. Thank you so much. 57%. We ended off with 57% people saying no, she's not black. All right. I'll end the poll there. 42% said yes. I guess they didn't watch this video enough. All right, rock on, Mercury, and see you soon. Bye, Combat.